Hi there, welcome to this week's Ask Amy. Today I'm going to answer a question that I get asked quite frequently, and that is, should we quote fees over the phone? Well, I think that's the wrong question really to ask. It's more, how should we interact? How should we engage? How should we talk with prospective new patients over the phone? See, when they call you and they want to know how much is a crown, that's their only barometer. That's the only way that they can measure your practice against someone else's. And I certainly hope your fees are higher than most other dentists in town. If they're not, let's talk. But, if you're average or lower than average and you're trying to compete on price, that's probably not where you want to compete. You won't win. And again, that's a whole nother topic for another day. But back to, should we quote fees over the phone? There are two things that you want to focus on. Okay, before you quote a fee, and in most cases, you're going to find that really that's not what the patient's looking for anyway. There are two things. Number one, build a relationship. And number two, invite them in for an appointment. Okay, building the relationship. Here's the thing. They're going to call and ask you, how much is a crown? Well, just put that question on the shelf for just a minute and find out who you're speaking with. Hey, great question. Tell me who I'm talking with. Well, this is Bob. Well, hey, Bob, thanks for calling. I'm really glad you took time to give us a shout. Hey, tell me what's going on. Sounds like maybe somebody's told you need a crown. And, get their story. Find out what's going on with Bob's tooth and why he's calling about a crown. He's going to open up and say, well, actually I'm calling for my wife, and, we were on vacation and she bit down on a bagel and an old filling broke. And, we went to a dentist out of town and they said, she's going to need a crown. Well, then show some empathy. Oh gosh, that's horrible. On vacation? Oh my gosh. I'm glad she made it home. I hope it wasn't too much of a bummer for your vacation. Show some interest, show some empathy. Act interested and curious in them other than just throwing a fee out there. We have the opportunity to provide a lot of secret shopper calls where, we will call, or we have folks that do this for us. And oftentimes they'll call in a pain or emergency situation. And first of all, nobody ever gets their name. They don't say, well, who am I talking with? They just, if we call asking for a fee, they give a fee. Or they say, well, we can't quote fees over the phone. You'd have to come in. Or give a range. Well, that's not very helpful either. And so, none of that is very inviting or makes me want to schedule an appointment. But if somebody shows an interest in me, wants to know my story, wants to know what's going on, and connects and calls me by name and, shows some compassion, I'm going to be a whole lot more likely to want to know more about that particular practice. And so, just put that question on the shelf and get to know them a little bit more. You might even say, it sounds like you know a little bit about crowns. Tell me about that. Or tell me what you want. It sounds like, your wife broke this tooth and that's awful. Could be that a crown's a possibility, but tell me, what she'd like to accomplish long-term with that tooth. Gosh, there are a lot of different possibilities. And then the next part, invite them in. I'll bet I could talk Dr. Brady into taking a look at your wife, and, we'll take a quick x-ray to see what it would take to accomplish what it is she wants with that tooth, and do it in minimal time. And I'll bet we could even save you some money long-term. Would you like to come in or bring her in tomorrow at 2 o'clock or today at 2 o'clock? Which one would work best for you? Again, I think if appropriate, it kind of depends on what your new patient flow is like. It depends on the model of your practice. But if you are, again, not trying to compete on price and seeing, 129 new patients a month, and you have, worked on understanding that it's not about how many bodies you get through, it's about relationships and retention. If you understand that, or you'd like to understand that, then having these types of conversations over the phone versus just answering questions is where you're going to really build lasting relationships and be able to help more people that really want what it is that you have to offer. So again, two things: build a relationship and invite them in for an appointment. Remember, just because the patient asks about costs doesn't mean that that is how they're going to choose their dentist or choose their level of dental care. They just don't know what else to ask. So don't prejudge, don't make assumptions, be curious, and really get to know the person before you talk teeth. Okay. I hope that's helpful to you. We've got lots of other things that we'd love to share with you. If you have a particular practice challenge or something that you deal with on a regular basis, feel free to email me. You can see my email address down at the bottom of the screen, and I would love to answer your questions. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.